feeling that sense of pain. But I reached a point where I'm content. So.
I truly envy that, all bullshit aside.
But I think, like what he was saying, I think the challenge of trying to fit everything that you want to do into your own life is like the beauty of it. It's the unpredictability of life that makes it so much fun. Because I could die tomorrow, but I could not. I could become the first woman president, but I could not. It's the beauty of knowing that I have so many goals and I have so little time, so I'm gonna work extra hard to fit it all in as much as I can. And like you were saying, if you were gonna live the rest of your life as a 21-year-old man, that's not really living because you're stuck.
Well,
Going through life stages is part of living, and you would never get to experience being old, even though senile comes with being old and things like that. You would never get to experience that, and that's not truly living.
Well, I mean, the physical form would be that of a 21-year-old. It's pretty much a 21-year-old shell. But the fact that you live hundreds of years would mean that you accumulate hundreds of years worth of experience.
Yeah, but...
what's her name?
Becca.
Becca. I agree with what you're saying.
Leanna.
And Leanne.
Leanna,
sorry. Edward and I actually, Edward, you were in our class you were in Philosophy 101 class, right? With me? I think we took
Tony, right?
No, 101, where he talks about death, and Martha Nussbaum and Kaufman. I think those are a few of the philosophers. But it goes a lot with what Rebecca was just saying, or Becca.
It doesn't matter.
Was just saying, as far as living forever, it kind of takes away the value that life does bring in our accomplishments or our goals or plans that we have to fulfill. And a lot of the times that we have those goals or we try to fulfill those plans, it's because we know that we're not going to live forever. If we're going to live forever, we kind of have time to do whatever we want to do.
Exactly.
I personally wouldn't want to live forever, and I have a lot of different reasons why. I wouldn't want to constantly say to myself, if only I knew then what I knew now. Like, I would be saying that for eternity. And I think as far as the age, I think 30 years old would be fair. Since we're speaking hypothetically anyways, 30 years old would be a fair age, because if you look too old, that kind of shows implications of deterioration. So if hypothetically we live forever, I think that hypothetically we shouldn't be able to feel harm or pain or but, you know, it doesn't take away economic crises. You know, like, if you're living forever, you're going to be working forever. You're going to be trying to earn a living forever. And you can argue that by saying, well, we'll just be doing what we love to do. But since it will be overpopulated, since nobody dies, you just kind of have to get your lot. Like, you kind of pick, you get what's taken. Or you take what's given to you.
No, the question is whether you're immortal, not whether you live in an immortal world.
If you're the only immortal person, that's even worse.
Why is that even worse?
I wanted to get to that actually, yeah.
Because then because eventually you make attachments with people, with things, with
Oh, of course.
animals.
But how is it any different from the attachments that you make now?
But I think it's different because now you don't live knowing, like, okay, well, they're gonna die one day, but I'll still be here. I'll be able to just say whatever and
But you're saying
then find a new one and find a new one.
You're saying the only difference between the two is that you know for a fact that one of these people is going to die, and you don't know when.
I think it takes away from, like, the fact that I think if you were immortal, it would take away from your, like, drive and your ambition, because you have all the time in the world to love them and to do whatever. But now you make so much of an effort to, like, build a relationship with somebody or to do things like that, because you don't know if they're going to die tomorrow. You don't know how long you're going to see them for, so you work extra hard to make it special. That's the whole beauty of life, of not knowing when you're going to go.
I guess I just don't agree with the idea that because I have forever, I'm going to be lazy and unmotivated. I don't think, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, I just want to interject, and by no means this isn't like me making fun of you or like attacking or anything, but why is it that, like, aging is really important and special to life, but somehow, you know, the experience of loss, somehow that's horrible and removed, and, like, I don't know, like, I feel like you made a real emphasis on aging as important, but somehow you don't think loss is important? I mean,
loss is important, but if you're immortal, you're going to be losing for the rest of your life.
Yes, I agree.
You're going to keep losing and losing and losing. And no one wants to lose for forever.
Well, certainly so, but I mean, unless you willingly close yourself off, you're still going to be getting new relationships.
But that's not a fun way to live, closed off. That's not fun.
I know, which is my point. And unless you act that way, you're going to be getting new relationships too, which is just as much a part of life as a loss.
Yeah. Also, I think if you live forever, that implies that you're soulless. Like, if you're immortal, then you don't have a soul. And the reason why I say that And the reason why I say that is because, let's say that a soul doesn't exist, and some people don't believe in souls. The purpose for the soul entering into this physical plane, into our physical body, and also exiting, it kind of shows that there's probably, like it's fair to say that it's reasonable that the soul is here for a purpose. And that the soul is here in order to be refined through our trials, through the things that we cross in life that brings us challenges, our soul becomes refined. Now, if you live forever, there's no soul to be refined. You don't need to be refined because you're not going anywhere. You're staying here.
Why not?
Why?
I'll answer my question. Why is there no soul just because you live forever?
What is a soul?
Well, I don't know that. That's an entirely different question. But if you're saying that because we live forever, there's no place for the soul to go. But if that's true, then there's no soul in us right now because we're living, and we only have a soul after we die.
I disagree with you. I disagree with you on that.
Can you explain that to me?
If you are living forever, there is no soul because there is no soul to be refined. For what? Okay, let's first think of what a soul is. Now, soul is the inner agent within us that causes us to do something. We have our will. I believe that will is in possession of the soul. And a lot of decisions we make can have harmful effects on things outside of us. And if that doesn't matter, then it doesn't matter. Like there's no soul. If you live forever, it doesn't matter what you do because you're not going to be punished for it. You're not going to have any important consequences to face. Are you
talking about some eternal punishment or some eternal reward, like heaven versus hell? Because that's
not heaven versus hell. Because I believe in reincarnation. I believe everyone goes to heaven.
Right.
I believe that we get our chances over and over again until we make it. So it's not necessarily heaven and hell. It's just what is the purpose of living.
Well, let me ask you a question. Yeah, go for it then.
I think one of the problems in immortality is you're going to be so detached from all these, because people are going to be so simplistic compared to you, because you're going to have such a great mind that ordinary things that people do are going to be so boring, and you won't be able to interact with these people, and that's why you are going to be isolated, just like these Dracula people that have to, they build these big castles around them, and they're just by themselves because they're so different now, because they've done things that normal mortals can't possibly do in one lifetime. So you're not going to want to be with these people because they're going to be boring, because you've seen that, you've done that.
Yeah.
I mean, so what are you going to do? You're going to just be in your own little head doing all these, smoking your weed and coming up with new ideas.
Just how to throw it in.
And it won't be for any intrinsic value. It'll be for mere physical pleasure.
It's going to be like you're just going to be masturbating your whole life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's true.
Hold on.
It's true.
Okay, wait.
Everyone else is going to be so boring.
Wait.
Frankly, how's that different from what we do every day?
Exactly. I should just clarify here, because I think we're all bringing to the table our different ideas of immortality. What I'm saying is, which is fine, that's a great thing. But first of all, to address again the issue of reincarnation. To simplify it, I know I'm not going to get this correct, but at the same time, if reincarnation is just the attempt of the soul to better itself and refine itself through multiple attempts, how is that any different from immortality, with the exception of being born again and dying? So you have the circle that is never broken in that respect. When you're reincarnated, you're born, you die, you're born again, you die, you're born again, you die, so on and so forth. And you're constantly refining your soul. Now, as an immortal, you just don't die, and you just don't get born again. But you still get to, theoretically anyway, if you go with the whole soul concept, you still get to refine your soul through lifetimes of living. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of years, thousands and thousands of years of refining your soul and, doing all of that sort of, good or bad stuff, however it is, however you decide to live your life. Piggybacking that onto the loneliness aspect.
You're going to be so perfect that you won't need anybody.
But see, and that's where I think it becomes...
Is that what you want?
No, but I don't agree with the idea that I would be
I have an
bored.
answer.
I wouldn't need, yeah, I'll get that in a minute, but I'm just trying to answer. The only thing that I have against that is that I would take it upon myself, if I were that quote-unquote perfect being, to try and disseminate that wisdom, that knowledge throughout humanity as best as I could.
Yeah.
Now, if they don't want to accept that, if they're not able to do it, and you can take people like
crucify
Muhammad, Jesus, you can take all those historical religious examples. But the point is that you take the knowledge that you have. It's your obligation as a member of the human race to share that knowledge and to better the human race as a whole.